Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Optimistic Opportunities. I am so excited to have our guest, Kathryn Brant. So I'm going to repeat what I just said because I want to make sure that the software has captured everything as it's still loading. So just wanted to welcome everybody today to Optimistic Opportunities. I'm so excited to have our guest today, Kathryn Brant. She is an HR consultant. This is not about business. This is about us and what we're doing to keep our thoughts and ourselves positive during this really challenging time. We're in no way diminishing the challenges that everybody's having right now, but I felt really drawn to come up with something so that I could really serve our community and the people I know in a way to help uplift people's spirits during this challenging time. So Kathryn and I are both out here in North Durham, in North Carolina. Our kids go to school together, so that's how we met. And she is one of the most optimistic people I know. No matter what she's going through, she's smiling, she's helping people, she's reaching out. Let's get together, how can I help? What's going on? And she's just an incredible lady. So that's why she's here today. So without further ado, Kathryn, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Carl. And it's so great to be with you here today because it is so easy to be optimistic around you. You are such a helpful person and a person who helps connect people, and I really value that.
Well, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. So without further ado, I'll just start us up, and just remember to keep your voice level a little bit higher because I'm having just a little bit of difficulty hearing you.
Absolutely.
So that's good. So I want to make sure everybody can hear your words of wisdom, no pressure. So the first question I want to ask you is, and it's a two-part question. So okay. What are you doing differently now during this reset? And what do you do in your day so that you can stay positive?
Well, one of the first things I do differently now during this reset is I manage my day very differently because I'm not driving every place, right? I mean, we all have that. Our day has changed significantly. We don't have to do commute time. We don't have to do car line or getting kids to the bus. So that's been a major shift in how I've operated in my business and how I've operated with my family, which has been very positive. We have repurposed the house, as I think many of us have, for different people working from school and working from home and all of that. My dining room table is no longer in my dining room because my dining room is now a dance space. Hold on one sec.
Yeah, I think so Kathryn's having a little bit of a challenge with lagging and her sound. So she's, I think, going to try to figure out what's going on with that. So bear with us for just a moment as we wait for Kathryn to come back and fix her technical difficulties. So I think you were going to check. I think you were going to check on your lagging or something because you're.
I was.
Yeah, you're. Seemed like it was. Yeah. I think that's better. Yes, just
great.
Voice a little higher. Maybe someone else is using a bunch of your bandwidth in your house.
Well, this is another thing that we have to learn to deal with. But so I no longer have a table in my dining room, and my dining room is now a dance space. So I love to dance, and now I do a lot more dance on Zoom. So I do interactive dance, and I know other people are doing other things such as that to keep centered at this time.
That's awesome. So Are you using your dining room table as an office desk somewhere else in the house?
I put it into our entryway,
Hmm.
and we use it often to keep stuff for our new puppies because that was something else that we did to help keep people busy and manage our time as we have two new puppies. And we also use it as a folding place for laundry. So
Oh, cool.
there we go.
Very good. I'm still having a little bit of trouble hearing you, so maybe
Got it.
maybe a little closer to the computer and a little louder would be helpful. Hopefully everybody can hear you. Um, so so that's what you're doing differently.
Mm-hmm.
So are there things that you do during your day to keep you positive? You're dancing in your dining room that doesn't have a dining room table.
Exactly. Well, I've started hiking every day or walking. So I try to average at least 3 to 4 miles a day
Wow.
outside and in the fresh air. And that has really helped center me and keep my body feeling good. Spending a lot more time just sitting around the house, I think a lot of us, it can not be the most positive thing. So getting out and walking regularly, getting fresh air, and really monitoring the amount of miles I do and keeping track of it has kept me very centered, and encouraging my children to do the same. So that has been one thing I've been doing. I have started creating within my larger network more weekly calls for checking in, comparing notes, talking about what issues we're seeing, strategizing about how to help companies with the problems they're having, keep employees motivated, keep the people in their lives motivated. So
Right. Yeah, that's
definitely.
that's that's so important. I was just got off the I know we're not supposed to be talking much about business, but I just got off my coaching call with my business coach, and we were talking 2 weeks ago on my last call how important it was for me to remember to go out and walk
Mhm.
and remember to stretch every
Mhm.
morning and get my body feeling better and to stop overeating and watching my waistline get bigger and bigger. So I'm trying to start taking a little bit better care of myself physically during this time where that was kind of the one vice I had was like, oh, okay, the physical thing, that's kind of gone downhill for me. Um, but fortunately, on the business side, it's gone up, which is amazing. So that's kept me very busy. Um, but just remembering that, it's I forgot how much I was just sitting down like all day long.
Mhm.
And I think just the fact that I am now walking every single morning, I haven't decreased the intake volume of anything, but we don't have a scale in our house, which is interesting. But just the fact that I have gone out and walked every morning, I can tell that I'm losing a little bit of weight now. So which makes me feel better, makes me want to do more and
Right.
smile more. So
And I think you touched on something there. We all have to be grateful at this time for what is going right, right? So for some of us, it might be more time with family, might be more business opportunity. I know I've actually business slowed at the beginning of this, but in the last 2 months, I've actually increased significantly because a lot of companies are looking more now at how do we keep our workforce productive? How do we manage sometimes with a leaner workforce? How do we take this time to improve our skills, right? And I
So
think,
on the personal side, as an HR consultant, remember to lean forward a little bit, talk a little louder, please, into your laptop. Um, on the personal side, as an HR consultant, what are you suggesting the companies that you work with to push out to their employees
this
to,
is
to
a
keep
great
going and all that?
this is a great time to emphasize. One of my major companies that I work with, we always say, one of our major sayings is we get better. We do what we say what we do, we get better. And this is a great time for all companies to look at how are we getting better, right? How do we take this opportunity to see how agile we can be, how nimble we can be, to be able to learn to move quickly in a changing environment, to find new opportunities. I mean, we're all personally and professionally looking at, we're in a new world order. There's, before COVID, BC, during COVID, DC, and we're going to have after COVID, AC. So what are we doing during COVID, personally and professionally? How are we being optimistic? And how are we learning and growing to prepare ourselves for after COVID? So we're more nimble, we're more agile, we're mentally and physically stronger as individuals and also as companies. This is a tremendous, tremendous opportunity.
So on the personal side,
mm-hmm.
you're suggesting for us to be more agile,
mm-hmm.
to be more agile. What were the other things you said?
More nimble.
Nimble. Mm-hmm.
To learn, to take this as a time of learning and growth.
Mm-hmm. So some self-learning, some self-growth.
A lot of jobs are changing. A lot of industries are shifting. Mm-hmm. Most of us will have at least 3 to 4 careers in our lifetime. I know, Carl, you and I can both relate to this, right?
Yeah.
We've had different careers.
Yeah.
And so now it's a great time to look and see, what do I think that the future looks like? What does after COVID look like? What would I like to be doing? What motivates me? What am I passionate about? And what can I do to shift gears to the direction of my passions?
Yeah, those are really good things to do during this reset time where we have a little bit more time in our day. Luckily we have more time to spend with those that we know, or those that we love, or those that we live with, or if we live alone, to connect with other people. We have more time for that. But to really take a deep dive in ourselves, to really think about, what am I doing now? If I'm not doing anything, what can I look at doing? If the world has changed and the workforce has changed, what are the things that I'm interested in, and how can I go after those, and what can I do differently? If I need more of a skill set, can I do that now and get that skill set? Interesting. Didn't see this conversation going in this direction, but as an HR consultant, of course it would.
I think it's time to be, for everyone to be patient, to practice their patience muscles, right? Like, if we're going to build a strength now, I think patience is the most important. It's been a very stressful time for a lot of people. So patience and kindness and creativity are extremely important. And I think that the way that we get there is different for everyone. Mind-body exercise, my mind-body work is to either hike or dance. But whether your mind-body work is something like that, or it's Tai Chi, or you're working to be a Kung Fu master, over the internet, you have something that can help center you during that time, so you can figure out what the next steps are to be the person you want to be in 3 years, in 5 years, when all this is past.
Right. So I have a daily practice where every morning I meditate. I wake up, I read for about 15 minutes in some type of book about increasing my knowledge about something, or in my profession or personally. So I read that. I often will take notes or highlight areas in that book. Then I meditate for 10 minutes. And then what I'm supposed to be doing is stretching and then walking, which I'm not doing. But I have continued to do that, reading something for about 15 minutes every morning, and then doing my meditation. And recently I've been reading The Richest Man in Babylon, which is a great book about, really creating your financial well-being.
Mm-hmm.
So just barely cracked it open. and got the one with the study guide. So I have to write all these exercises even before I start reading the book. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But I'm dedicated to it because I hear that that book is just so amazing. And you're nodding your head, yes, you've heard of that book. It's amazing. So those are the things that I've been doing is, you know, taking your advice, I guess, already to heart of what you said is, honing my skills more during this time. I have more time to do that. So great.
Well, what I also liked about what you said is, when I say that everyone needs patience during this time, and we really need to work on our patience, it's not just patience towards others, whether they're people in the outside world, the larger world, or whether they're people in our family, but it's patience for ourselves. So if you had told me, oh, we're going to be in quarantine for several months, I would have been like, great, I have this stack of books that I'm going to get through, and I have not gotten through.
Yeah.
So I have to have patience with myself that I'm not in a place right now that I can focus that way, but I am in a place where I'm walking a lot more.
Right.
So we have to understand and give ourselves permission, right, to see where we're doing well and to give ourselves time to be able to do better in other areas. You may have gained.
Right. And I'm a true believer of, garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
What we eat, if it's garbage, not great for us. What we eat, it nourishes us, it's great for us. Same thing with our brains, is what we're nourishing our brain with. And the data and information we're pulling in has a great effect on us. So perhaps if we don't have the bandwidth for, reading content, maybe there's a great podcast series that people could listen to when they're walking, or something. So there's lots of ways to get great content, or to go on your smart TV and go to YouTube and start YouTubing that content.
And
that is positive.
I have to tell you, for me personally, and I think for a lot of people, giving yourself permission to have some kind of trash in your life is okay too. Like I love Tiger King, and some people, are very attached to their Oreos or their chips at this time. That's fine. We all have to have a little bit of our release valve.
Right. Definitely.
And give yourself some patience and permission for that too.
Definitely. So we're at 17 minutes. We usually end about 20, 21 minutes after. So let's look at this question. So how are you taking care of your mental and physical health? You've already answered that you're walking.
I am.
Your mental health, how are you taking care of that?
I do a fair amount of breath work. It's kind of harder to do with a busy house, to have kind of that private time. If anybody does any kind of breath work or meditation. But I still try to do that. I actually love to take baths. And that is a great time to be away and do my breath work and clear my mind and recenter myself. Also when I'm walking. So those are great things. I've joined some groups that have had, regular podcasts on maintaining your spiritual energy through this time and looking at the bigger spiritual picture of things. So that's been helpful to me as well.
That's awesome. Yep. Very good. Let's see. So one last question.
Okay.
How can this experience make a positive impact on your life and others? Remember to lean forward a little bit and talk a little louder.
I will.
Thank you.
So on my life, as I said, I think that I'm getting in much better shape physically, which also gives me more energy and allows me to be more available for the people in my life, both personally and professionally. And then that allows me to be able to create opportunities for other people, to help people, whether it's my friends, my children, employees with companies I work with, look and say, how can we move forward, and how can we be better together at the end of all this? I put together a list of potential trainings, for example, for companies I work for. I've talked to my kids about different opportunities of things they can pursue. I love some of the stuff you're doing with your daughter during this time to keep her motivated and interested and learning and growing. And so, as I said, I think that we have this new norm. It's nothing but optimistic opportunities.
Right. Yes, definitely.
Now,
so we're right about at time. And Kathryn, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And be sure to tune in next week at 1 o'clock right here on Facebook Live and join us to hear Dorisanne Cooper. She is the senior minister at Watt Street Baptist Church in Trinity Park here in Durham, North Carolina. And she is at the helm of a social justice church, really looking at everything, of course, that's happening in our world. So I'm real excited to hear what she's going to personally say about how she keeps herself positive during this time. And she's always looking at everything that's going on in this world and shepherding her entire congregation and getting through all of that. So that should be a very interesting conversation. So again, that's Dorisanne Cooper next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And thank you, Kathryn, so much for joining us today. It's been such a joy. Appreciate you sharing all of your insights and information. So everybody have an awesome day today, and please smile. It makes a difference for everybody else in the world and yourself, and connect with others and be there for them. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Bye, Carl. Thank you.
Bye.